welcome to a special edition of Gigantic the series. Boy, oh boy, we're just hammering these special edition or special streams out for you guys. I mean, this is the eighth episode of the season, and we haven't even been on for 2 weeks yet. But that's just how things are around here. I mean, right now, this is basically just a very chilled live stream. There's nothing at stake or anything like that. Which is why we don't have all these lights on, and you know me with my bursting voice. So yeah, right. It's just gonna be a chill stream, kind of, somewhat. We have one very important game and one preseason game from the Muskies that we're going to be going over, and a preview to tomorrow night. So, yeah. So, as you know, last night when we left at 11 p.m. Eastern Time in the game, I believe it was still in the bottom of the seventh. If I remember correctly, it was still in the bottom of the seventh with loaded bases. I think, if I remember correctly, that's where we were. But the X's were still up 6-5, so they still kind of had a chance to win. But with the more runs they've been giving up and stuff, it just things were starting to slope downhill just a little bit, not quite, but things were starting to get grim. Because it's a 1-run lead, and considering they were up 6-1 at one point, it was worrisome. Or 5-1. No, 5-0 actually. 5-0 at one point. It was starting to get worrisome a bit. Then it was 6-3, and then we left you with the game being 6-5, I believe. And you're not gonna believe what happened next, to tell you the truth. Pretty much every pitch, as you know, was ball, it seemed like. And when we went off the air, it didn't really stop, to say the least. Kansas City, we left you 6-5, and by the end of the eighth inning, Kansas City took the lead for the first time 7-6. Not good. Things just were not good. And then top of the eighth, it seemed like things were starting to trend up for the X's. I mean, they had a single, or they had one man on, and then they had a fielder's choice, so they were still one man on first, obviously. So, yeah, and then the next pitch was a walk, so things were starting to, look up. I mean, one hit, into the outfield, and, it could have easily been tied right then and there. But, no, because 2 straight strikeouts, and, which ended, the top half of the eighth, obviously. However, Delvin Zinn, that was who that was. He was the one that got the final out of the inning. However, it was a controversy of some sorts, because the third strike was apparently not supposed to be a strike, but it was called a strike. Yeah. It hurts, don't get me wrong. And because of that, Delvin Zinn, of course, tried to, argue with the umpire, but you always know how that ends up. Someone getting ejected, and then basically all hell breaking loose, really. So, yeah. Anyway, and then, boy, Kansas just kept on hammering right on Sioux City, and they scored 2 more, and it was 9-6. And then Kansas City with a 1-2-3 inning. Yep. They ended it, and they're moving on to the championship game, 9-6. They will play Chicago for all of the marbles. Heartbreaking way to end the season. Absolutely. Oh, God. It's not good at all. 5-0, and then you lose 9-6. Like, that's crazy. And all it took was 4 innings. 4 innings to do it, too. That's just, halfway through the game, up 5-0. Momentum's big time on your side. And then They just let it go. Let it go. Can't hold it back anymore, basically. A cheap pun, but, that's just the way things work sometimes. I mean, so, yeah, unfortunately, no more X's this season. Aww. But as one thing's ending, another one is starting. And that's where we transition right into the Muskies now. Yes, they've already played 2 preseason games so far this year. And they were up in Sioux Falls today playing the Stampede. Not at the Stampede's home arena. There's like another ice rink in Sioux Falls. It's kind of like what we have here in Sioux City, where, the Muskies' main building is the Tyson Event Center, and then they have like a secondary building where they hold like most of the practices and, basically all kinds of, camp stuff, and like the Metros hockey team, which is like the, kind of like, how do I describe it? It's like, not like the Muskies' main team, but like, they're kind of in the same age range, if that makes sense. But, yeah. So it's kind of hard to describe it without, It's okay. It's okay. Anyway, yeah, so they were up in Sioux Falls today for their 3rd preseason game. The game's already completed. I mean, it started at 2:30 p.m. Central Time after all, and at 6:07 p.m. Central Time. So if it took 4 hours to play a hockey game, that's a bit troubling. The only time that would happen is in the playoffs if it went to like triple overtime, which that has not happened yet. Last time the Muskies even got to overtime in the playoffs was in 2019 with Sioux Falls, and they went all the way to the 4th overtime. It was nuts. And I got to listen to that whole game because I was on Easter break. That day I had a half day of school, so, and then Thursday and Friday we had Easter break. So yeah. I got to listen to the full game in full. Boy, oh boy, if that was, if that took place this year, holy cow. I mean, we'd be on literally live for 6 hours. I mean, oh God. I dread it, but I think it's also kind of exciting at the same time. Like, it keeps you tuned in because, yeah, if you turn the channel and something happens, then, right? Yeah. So yeah, back to this game. The first score came for Sioux Falls in the 2nd period, only 3 minutes in, from Ivan Anushka. And then Sioux City tied it up at this about 6.5 minutes in. Riley Brueck getting his first goal of the season from Colin Kessler and Trey Jeffries. This is preseason, so you're going to hear some names that are unfamiliar, maybe some teams, or maybe, we got from trades and stuff like that, which we traded Croy Kokendorfer. I don't remember if I told you guys that or not, but we did. So, breaking news if I haven't yet. Woo! All right. And then Sioux City took the lead from Nikolai Tishkovic, assisted by Max Strand. So, yeah, it was 2-1. But then Jack Phelan, God damn him. No, I'm kidding, obviously. Tied it up only about a minute and a half after Sioux City's goal. So it was tied up at 2. At 2 apiece. Oh, I didn't even finish the story about the place they were playing at. So we have the IVP for practices and, camp stuff. Basically the arena they played at there, it's basically like the IVP. There, we completed that story. All right, now to the 3rd, tied up at 2 apiece. Riley Brueck getting his 2nd of the game, only 7 minutes in, which made it 3-2. And then Max Strand getting his 1st of the preseason with a minute and a half to go. So 4-2 is your final score. Muskies win. Yeah. They're 2-0-1-0 in preseason play so far. Their final game, is tomorrow afternoon in Lincoln at 1 p.m. Central Time, which we won't be here for that, obviously. And that leads me into the next thing. Tomorrow night. Now, as you know, game one of the finals for AAB was supposed to be tomorrow night, but since the X's aren't in it, then we decided to do tomorrow night our night of games, RBN's night of games. Right now I have about 20 ideas for games that we should do, but I think we're only going to play about 10 games, so I kind of have to narrow it down a little bit. That's kind of what I'll be doing after dinner tonight, is kind of narrowing it all down. You know, how much money do we want to give away? Yeah, because all the money from each individual game will go to you at home. Each individual game will have its own telephone number, and you can enter through that way, or text the specific number we have for the game. So, yeah. Or no, all games, you can text the same number for all the games. Sorry about that. Okay, so, yeah, and that leads us to next Saturday now. Now, next week is going to be kind of weird. Not really, actually. Not really weird at all, to be honest with you. It's just going to be, it might be a bit different. And that's for really only one main reason, is that I have a band competition next Saturday. So, we officially got the schedule today as to how that's going to go. However, though, it's all the way up in Marshall, Minnesota. That's what town it's in. And that's about a 3 to 3.5 hour drive from here in Sioux City, where we are right now. Of course, by bus. I'm sure by a car, you know, when you're driving your own speed and stuff, then, you know, obviously it's a little shorter ride. But since we're not doing that, we're going on bus, it's going to be about 3 to 3.5 hours, which means we have to be at the field where we, you know, where we practice every morning at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. Yes, because we're leaving at 5 a.m. Then when we get there, I guess we're gonna unload everything, and I guess we're having like a clinic, which is kind of when you know, other band peoples, you know, come in, and they kind of, you know, it's not the teacher who's teaching us, it's like, you know, an expert coming in and helping us teach like that. So that's going to be for 2 hours, which is probably the main reason why we're, you know, going to be as early as we are, because we don't perform until 5:30 in the evening. So, yeah, I mean, I don't like the fact that we have to leave at 5 a.m. in the morning. I'm sure if we didn't have that, and then we get like a 3-hour break from lunch. Like, that's, I don't know. I really, really don't know, to be honest with you. I think, you know, we easily could have fit, you know, all that in, you know, in a short time, you know, maybe be there at noon, you know, get lunch, and then, you know, do all that, go through all the preparations and stuff. So, yeah, but we're going to have to stay the entire contest. So, yeah, it's kind of split up into 2 divisions. You know, they have like, I don't remember, it's like gold and like something one. They're going to perform for the first part of the evening, and then another part, they're going to perform, and then at the end of each round, obviously, they're going to have the awards. And however, though, what do I want to call it? The other part that starts at 8, we have to stay through that too, which is kind of stupid if you ask me. But, you know, because like, why? Well, like, what's the point? I mean, we've already got our results, and we have to stay there for another 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours. So because of that, we're not going to be home until 1:30 a.m. Sunday morning, which is going to be wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, so it's going to be, depending on when I go to bed Sunday, I may or may not be up for 24 straight hours, which would just be crazy. But, you know, I've only stayed up 24 hours one time, and it was in, I want to say, It was sixth grade. Sixth grade is when I did that. It did not go well. I ended up falling asleep during class, and the teacher called out my name to read something, and my head kind of popped up, so you could tell I was asleep. That's just a story between me and you only. No one else. Me and you. Okay. So yeah. I mean, I didn't get in trouble for it or anything like that, but I kind of got a dirty look from everyone, which was kind of embarrassing. But okay, so yeah, that's going on next Saturday. So no gigantic Saturday next Saturday, and actually next Thursday is when the Muskies season starts. The Fall Classic is going on in Pittsburgh, and that used to count towards the preseason, but up until about 5 years ago, it started counting towards the regular season. So instead of playing 60 games, it's 62 games, which is not bad, I think, personally. So yeah, we're gonna do a wrap up Friday afternoon. It'll be after I get home from school for sure, because I'm gonna have to go to bed at about 9. So, well, 9's even that's too late. At least probably 8 o'clock I'll be in bed. So, which is not gonna be fun, but we'll make it work. Because I gotta wake up at like 3:45. And that's probably what I would stay up until on a regular, well, I shouldn't say that. On a regular summer day or weekend, depending on, I'd go to bed at 3 a.m. And I'm going to have to wake up at like 1:45 to have all my stuff together and be down at the field. Because it's going to take us 30 minutes to pack up everything, apparently. I don't know. Okay, it's because we use, why it's going to take us that long? It's because we use too many damn props in our show. But that's okay. That's what makes the show cooler. And I think the only reason why, the show is as big and as grand as it is that, remember, we're going to the Peach Bowl. And there's a contest, a marching band contest. So, I mean, might as well go all out for it. That'll be, of course, the last week of the year when we're doing that. Obviously, we did kind of get a day-by-day kind of type of sheet thingy when we had a meeting about it last month, but what do I want to say? Yeah, obviously that could be changed within an instant. The game right now is scheduled to start at noon p.m. Eastern Time, December 30th. So, immediately after the game's over, we're going home. And we won't be home. Let's see, the game's probably going to be over, we're probably going to leave Atlanta at about 4:30 p.m. 4:30, 5 o'clock, somewhere around there probably. And if we take a couple of breaks, it'll be probably 1 p.m. the next day when we get back, which would be good, and hopefully they keep the time of 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm begging, praying to God they do, because, as you know, the Muskies have their New Year's Eve game that day. Right now, it's scheduled to start at 3:05, which all Sunday games do. But they could move it back to either 6:05 or 7:05. The Muskies did a poll on their Facebook where they said, "Oh, hey, what time should the game start?" Basically, this year, do you want us to stick it at 3:05, 6:05, or 7:05? And a large majority said 7:05. So I'm hoping that because the game's either going to start at either one of 3 times for sure, either noon, 4 p.m., or 8 p.m. And I pray to God that it keeps it the noon slot. Please. Even if it starts at 4 p.m., that'll be okay if they've already moved the game back, the Muskies game, from 6:05 to 7:05, or 6:05 or 7:05, one of the two instead of 3:05. But if they keep I don't know. Well, we'll probably find out. In fact, here I could actually look up the schedule to see if they've switched it or not, which we're gonna do right now, actually. Okay, right now it is still at 305. But there was a large majority of the poll said 7:05 for the start on New Year's Eve night. So if that does happen, which if they listen to the audience or listen to their fans, they should do this. They might have to throw in the hat basically like that and do it. Then it'll probably start at 7:05, which I hope it does. Well, no, I don't personally mind what time the game's going to start. It's only what time the Peach Bowl game's going to start that is going to have me. So noon should be okay no matter what time. Obviously, they're not going to go by my schedule or what I want because, you can't get that. But, yeah, so I'm hoping, if the game starts at noon, if they keep it at noon, that would be the best case scenario. Because no matter what time the Muskies game got scheduled for, we could be back in time for that. If they move the game to 4 o'clock, that would be okay as long as the Muskies game is scheduled for, either 6:05 or 7:05. 8 p.m., the only problem with that could potentially be if the game starts at 7:05. That would be the best case scenario for that. Obviously, like I said, they're not going to go by my schedule. I just hope, the only thing I really hope on this trip is, the times will balance out. So I'm hoping, the 30th we'll have the football game. Well, that's a guarantee. The 30th will be the football game, and then the 31st we'll have the New Year's Eve game. I'm just hoping that it'll work out in the end with time. That's really all I hope for, pretty much. Because it should take us probably 20 to 21 hours max to get there. So, yeah. I'm hoping that they change it to either 6:05 or 7:05. I think now, thinking about it, it really shouldn't matter. Oh, I shouldn't say that, actually. I actually should not say that. Because you got to remember, the game's probably going to be, since, it is a semifinal game for football, I mean, it is probably going to be at least 4 hours. Just because college games are like that. I don't know why, but they just are. So, yeah. That could become an issue. Because last year's game was almost 4 hours long. In fact, the game ended right at midnight on New Year's Day. So, it worked out. It was fun. It created a lot of viral moments on Twitter. So, yeah. But I'm just hoping that the time scenario will work. Because, obviously I really do want to do both the hockey game, obviously be there in the Peach Bowl and then be back for the hockey game. But I don't know. Time could be a bit iffy, to say the least. So we'll see. Yeah. And, of course, I've already made the decision not to go to the home opener because, we have the homecoming football game that night. So I'm not going to do that, obviously, unfortunately. I know, sad face. But it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's only the first game of the year, so obviously they'll work out the kinks and we'll be on air. So yeah. Anyway, this went a little longer than I kind of wanted it to, but it's okay. It's okay. No biggie. Coming up next here on RVN, an abbreviated version of Hard Copies. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Night. And we'll see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, for RVN's Night of Games. Stay tuned for that. Night.